Well, it's been a while since I've done one of these venture capitalist videos, so I was wondering how much money I had in the account. And, well, me and my wife was having a conversation once, and I point blank asked her, "Do you want to know, could you answer a simple question? Is if I had a Googolplex worth of money, why would it buy Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, any of the mainstream media news networks?" Well, my viewers, we're going to have a little chat. Why I wouldn't. Well, I do a little adventure capitalist. Whatever comes up. There we go. All right. So, I'm going to give you a little interesting thing about me is I'm one of the... No, I don't want to go to any events. Yes. Yay, 43,000 angels. All right. I'm one of the unique cases where I'm actually a fan of all of them. All right. And I'm going to give you a little about, a little glimpse of how much I know about them, okay? All right. I actually watched the original William Hartnell episode pilot of Doctor Who all the way up to the new series with... I even watched the Paul McGann movie, okay? And that means I actually do know about the Doctor going to his last regeneration and then turning evil, and the Master was actually kind of a preview of this aspect of Doctor Who in Trial of a Time Lord, when the Doctor was both the prosecutor and the defendant, because that was basically establishing, and it was kind of hinted to over the course of the series, that the Doctor would be turning evil in his last regeneration, which I think they were kind of trying to build up to in the modern series a little bit. Okay. And then I'm also a fan of Star Wars. I've actually had Force Unleashed video games. I've actually played Knights of the Old Republic, and I'm aware of in the original Disney Star Wars era of Star Wars, of how the Sith was created from the war with the Mandalorians and the Jedi's having infighting about whether or not they should interfere, resulting in the creation of the Sith. Okay, in the great big war of the Sith back in the day. Okay, all right, I'm just giving you some of my bit of background. Okay, these are all Promise Century. Okay. All right, just give you a little bit that, yeah, I know my stuff, okay? All right. And also in Star Trek, okay, the reason the Enterprise was A, B, C, D, E, all right, had nothing to do with the ship being a refit. It was basically, each time the Enterprise was giving a dash A, a dash B, a dash C, and whatnot, it was actually to note the ship sacrificing itself to maintain the highest ideals of the United Federation planets. We're not going to get into the difference between the Federation and the United Federation of planets and all that, okay? I'm going to get into the difference. I'm just going to simply give you a quick rundown of this, okay? The reason the Enterprise got the dash A, all right, it was because of a complicated issue with Kirk basically self-destructing the ship to save basically when the ship was self-destructed, when the Klingons boarded it after Kirk stole the ship, all right? He was basically going to stand trial, and there was going to be this whole big breed of bra, but then when the stolen Klingon bird of prey, they saved the United Federation of Planets and the Federation from the Whale probe, and that's why the Enterprise got the dash A. The dash B was, when they got the dash B, was when Enterprise A was decommissioned after they basically saved the peace talks, which led to the Kittimer Accords, okay, because of the assassination, which if they didn't do that, it exposed the whole plot between Federation and Klingon agents that didn't want the peace treaty. That's why the Enterprise got the dash B, because it actually was a quintessential component of creating the Kittimer Accords. You see, you notice this pattern here. each dash enterprise was because of a great sacrifice that saved or led to some great peace, okay? And then when it went from the dash B to the dash C, well, we don't know enough about the B, but there is some suspicions that it was in some way involved in assisting that was involved with a Romulan Cold War, because there was some beliefs and some fan theories and some conventions speculating that the Enterprise B was actually built as a specialized cloak detection type ship because of the possibility of a war with the Romulans, which then the Enterprise B might have prevented. That was some theories. But when it went from the C to the D was because the Enterprise C was destroyed and saving a Klingon outpost, which led to the alliance with the Klingon Empire. You get the pattern here? All right, so I'm going to spare you continuing on that, okay? Now, let's get to why if I had a Googolplex, now to be clear, okay, that is 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 100. That is basically 10 to the power of this in money. Okay? That's basically a stupid amount of money. Okay? Alright? Alright? Okay? That's a stupid amount of money. Alright? Alright, there's a lot of, mathematics and theorizations of, Googolplex, okay? But we're not going to here to talk about Googolplex. We're just simply doing a venture capitalist video to explain to you why I wouldn't buy existing or legacy, alright, news businesses, okay? That's what this is about, alright? So let's get back on the topic here, alright? Suffice to say, nobody can have that much money, alright? Okay? Alright, for starters, alright? There's a fundamental problem with Marvel, DC, Star Trek, Star Wars, and Doctor Who, okay? And you're about to find out what that fundamental problem is, okay? And why they're not going to be able to basically deal with it. Okay, let's say for the sake of argument, okay, I took my astronomical big amount of money, okay, and I bought any of them or even all of them, okay. For starters, the legacy news media has gotten so politically biased, even if they go back neutral and pure fact reporting, they won't get the viewers and it'll never be worth it, okay? Is that their reputation is damaged, okay? That's why the news ain't no point to it, okay? Now, let's get to why, even if I did have that much money, and I did buy them, all right, and I did do good productions of any of them, no matter how good it is, or how true it is to the original legacy, it's pointless, okay? If, let's say for the sake of argument, okay, I buy any of them, which in this case I'll use Doctor Who, okay? And even if I basically decided that at the point when the drop-off happened in viewership, okay, you could split hairs on that one at what point it is, okay? Let's say I did buy it, and I basically snipped off everything that came after what was supposed to have been leading to his last regeneration, okay? We replaced the last regeneration to basically what's supposed to be the Doctor turning evil, okay? Following the trial of the Time Lord and even the series, the 2 new series, okay, had implied that the Great Darkness, which was his last regeneration's evil deeds, that he could not go there out of fear, okay? Running into his evil self, okay? The Problem is that if people did buy all the good stuff, because mine was so good, and then they go get the series that caused the drop off. And then guess what's going to happen? You're still going to lose viewers. Okay? Let's say for the sake of, let's say for Star Trek, I buy Star Trek. Well, Star Trek's got so much now bloat from bad stuff, is that even if you do really like good Star Trek, the bad stuff's still going to be there. People will then watch it, buy it on physical media, watch it on streaming, or desperately find it because they like it so much. To guess what's going to happen? You're still not going to get the original numbers. Now, Star Trek, I'm not going to get into what was good, what was bad, all right? Star Wars is in the same boat. When a series, any series that's been around for a while, okay, they will eventually reach the point that I will call it what it is, okay? Content bloat. That's what the problem is. Okay? That's why series like Buck Rogers ain't around right now, because Buck Rogers wasn't big and bankable like Star Trek and Star Wars became. You see, the problem is that I've covered this before. Studios, CEOs, they aren't the original creative people that made Paramount, Warner Brothers, Disney, what they are today. They're not the original creatively driven. They reached a point where they basically, the CEOs basically would get voted out, or they would basically take their money and their shares and retire. Then what happens is the shareholders then vote on the board and the CEO, which means that they go and they bring in these people that were the CEOs or went to school to become CEOs, which means that basically they get their brains programmed for basically being a CEO, thinking what makes money from a college degree. Or they ran a previous business which was not in the field of what the business is in, which means that basically they go by what will get us selling more shares. Okay, the CEO was an internal person that basically ran this and this and this business, so we're going to vote that person to be in charge of this business to make us more money. Then what they do is they go on, okay, what have we done that has got these analytics saying that this is worth this money views or this much sales? Then they go and basically franchise milk that, because they're extremely reluctant to basically do something new because they don't have proof of it. And then in the case of Disney, they bought Marvel, which means they ended up with Marvel Comics. They bought Fox, which means they ended up with Fox, which meant they bought Lucasfilms. Now they basically have to justify these purchases, which means that they can't not make it. They have to continue to try to milk it because they have to try to legitimize to the shareholders, we bought this. That's why if I had a Googolplex or $1 billion, or if I was a millionaire because of reasons, okay, and I had the money, and even if Disney was in foreclosure and they were selling off their assets and I could just buy what I want out of it, I still wouldn't buy what they have. I would probably instead make an original IP. That's why the Orville was going to be an inevitable success. It was good science fiction designed like Star Trek, like old Next Generation Star Trek, repackaged. It didn't have the bloat of the legacy of the good and the bad and God help me of Star Trek or Star Wars or Doctor Who. Is it original? That's the problem. And that's why if I had a Googolplex, I wouldn't buy any of them, despite the fact I know them. I know their history. I I do enjoy them, and it pains me to see where they ended up. Because you will hit the brick wall of the bad content is there. It exists. People will remember it. Even if you let any of them sit for 5, 10, 15 years or more, and then you try to make something good, you're still going to hit the same brick wall. Bad content is there. It exists. People will remember it. People, even if you basically tax write off certain parts of what you can, because you know the brain's kind of the entire package. Okay? Alright? And you try to erase it. Alright? People can look it up. People can find it. People can find the reviews. People can find the trailers. People can find the reactions. And there's ways for people to look up and watch stuff, even if it's been erased off of streaming and is being desperately destroyed from physical media. There is ways for people to watch this stuff. Alright? And that's the problem. It's the, I hate to say this, it is the bad apple and the bunch of apples effect. They just kept putting in more bad apples in the good apple batch, and they just kept stacking it up, filling it up, getting it more bigger, and now it's reached a point where that's the problem. That's why at this point, I'm not even sure even if another business, okay? Well, actually, there's rumors that Paramount is basically being up for a merger with a bigger studio. Even if they get actual real people that care about Star Trek, okay? Real fans that actually understand Star Trek and the legacy and the mythos, okay? Which I doubt. That's not business. That's how businesses work, okay? I'm not even sure if it could even save the brand, because the junk is still there. It still exists. People will remember it. Because every business is stock traded, and if the other studio does actually merge with Paramount, okay, they will have to show something to the investors. You see the problem? No matter how good it is, Star Trek is still anchored down by all of the years and years and years of garbage. Even as Star Trek's prior to the Abrams movie had its highs, had its lows. Okay? But it was long in decline before Nemesis. I mean, some stores wasn't even carrying Star Trek Voyager's merchandise. That's how bad off Star Trek was. But people don't know this. That's why they basically let the brand hibernate. And unfortunately now, it's got a lot of bad bloat on its plate. Even when it got brought back by J.J. Abrams, the movie still ended up falling into the same trope that the prior to the Abrams movies had fallen in. Wrath of Khan. It basically went the motion picture, then the Wrath of Khan, and then Let's Go to the Country. After Let's Go to the Country, it was just basically Wrath of Khan repackaged over and over and over and over again. There's a reason why Hollywood, okay, the TV shows basically walked away from the villain of the day trope on television, because you can only do the villain of the day so many times before the fans goes, oh my god, it's another villain of the day movie. You can't do it. It don't work. That's why George Lucas's Star Wars movies was so smart. Yeah, Vader was the big bad, okay? But it had a beginning, middle, and an end with one plot going through all of it. And it had more than just the villain of the day. It had stakes, and it had more packaged into it. Alright? I mean, I'm not going to get into what Star Wars is about, okay? Because I'm pretty sure most people knows it, okay? It's about a ragtag... Basically, Star Wars was different. Your heroes wasn't your heroes. They were actually a little bit of a scoundrel. That's why the original Star Wars movie, Han Solo, shot first. Because he had to shoot first, because it had to establish your heroes is not your run-of-the-mill heroes. These are ragtag rebels standing up against insurmountable odds. That's why it was so powerful when Han Solo was frozen in carbonite. That basically showed there is stakes here. They can be killed by the Empire. That's the point. They're not perfect. They're flawed. They're like you, me, your guy down, your neighbor down the street. And now look at where Hollywood's at. They didn't learn. They didn't learn from Hollywood's past mistakes. Instead, they fell into the trope that, well, gee, this writer costed us all this money. We'll make him a director. We'll make him a producer. And now they're flipping morons to CEO of films. There's an actual clip of this. Okay. All right. Kathleen Kennedy. All right. At a meeting. All right. For something that was in production. I forget what it was. Okay. Said, what if the hero didn't get the girl? What if the hero instead ended up with the dog? That's the person that's in charge of Lucasfilms. Yeah, Hollywood ain't bright. Alright? Hollywood is not bright. Alright. A little random adventure capitalist video, 23 minutes long. Just because I ain't done one of these in a long, long, long time. Alright. I gotta ask me anything in the community tab. Alright. If I get enough questions under it, I'll do a video answering every question on there. It doesn't even have to be about my channel. It can be about anything. You can ask my opinion about anything. You can ask me any questions you want, anything. All right. As always, thank you for watching, everybody. And peace out. Why does this keyboard keep blacking out so quick?